This Part 2 Episode 21. Xiao Chen lowered his voice and asked, "Is there a birthmark at his left wrist?" "According to what they say. Yes." "Then we're in trouble. When I came to this place, it seems like that guy had followed us." This news from Xiao Chen was like a comet falling into the tranquil ocean. The heart of the few people on the spot was palpitating like crazy. Their expression took a disastrous turn, chill ran down their spine, and they quickly swept their eyes across all four directions. The entire area turned deathly silent. Only Keek was looking all over the place with its glittering big eyes without a care in the world. Xiao Chen lowered his voice to the greatest extent and said, "Since he is that powerful, couldn't we get help from other forces to deal with him?" A few days ago, the dragons displayed an out-of-the-ordinary divine ability. This was a proposal, and also an inquiry. Why did the dragons recover their former power within those few days? It was still a mystery to him. He was completely uninformed regarding the mysterious ghost town. The ghost town. It was the ghost town. The old man sighed lightly and said, "Everything was because of the ghost town. I mean, think about it, that demon came from the ghost town." The old man didn't say much. As a matter of fact, they also didn't know much. All their information was passed down by their ancestors. At the intervals of every 100 years, the seal on the Dragon Island would be lifted temporarily. The dragons would recover their divine ability on the day of the Ghost Festival for a short amount of time and attack the ghost town later. They wanted to destroy the divine monolith. As for what kind of secret it was hiding, outsiders like them was unable to find out. As for the brass trigrams, the jet black metal engravings, the golden divine halberd, and other legendary divine artifacts, they were also unable to find out where were these hidden. The mysterious Dragon Island was hiding a lot of secrets. Even if they expended a great effort to unearth everything, they also wouldn't be able to unearth all the secrets. This island seemed to be hiding a gargantuan secret. The Dragon Island's divine monolith should be an important clue, the solitary sword demon thought out loud. This misfortune came too suddenly. A disaster shall strike again. The old woman's aged face became frailer as she said, "There is a bizarre energy suppressing the power of God on the Dragon Island. Although they are mainly directed against the dragons, other races had also been affected greatly. Beginning from our ancestors' era, regardless of how much talent one possessed, they wouldn't be able to get past Zephyrus' third celestial layer. It was very obvious that nobody on the Dragon Island had enough power to confront the demon." Just at this time, the sound of ripping air could be heard from the entrance to the village. Everyone could clearly see a few resplendent sword chi soaring into the sky. At the same time, they could hear an angry shout, as well as the loud sound of building collapsing, which was then followed by a scream. After that, they could hear the ear-splitting dragon roar. The old woman, the old man, Xiao Chen, the solitary sword demon, and the little fatty rushed out of the courtyard and ran towards the village entrance at lightning speed. They only saw a few corpses that had been ripped apart at the village entrance. They were scattered on the collapsed buildings. The body of the woman shrouded in colorful mist trembled slightly, then she threw up a mouthful of blood. She clearly just received the injuries. The amethyst dragon king was accompanying her. It also had scars on its body. There were some scales and dragon blood on the ground. The old woman and the other villagers wore a sorrowful expression. They gathered the corpses together. Then they sized up the woman shrouded in colorful mist and the amethyst dragon king. "Is this a dragon king?" "Yes." "What happened just now?" The woman shrouded in colorful mist was really mysterious. Xiao Chen encountered her several times, but he was still unable to see her real face. The colorful mist was lingering on her body from beginning to end. She appeared incomparably transcendental and mysterious. Just now a man with really dense negative aura got over here. As the woman shrouded in colorful mist recounted the event, everyone quickly associated it with the demon. Even though he was still in his weakest period, he was still so powerful. The three people in the village entrance were ripped apart by him in almost an instant. And the woman who could control the law of time also sustained a heavy injury. If the wounded amethyst dragon king's blood did not unexpectedly penetrate that evil spirit in the most crucial moment, she might be ripped apart in that moment too. The dragon king's blood can actually restrain him. This is such a wondrous news. The old woman's tangerine-like wrinkled skin twitched. It was easy to tell that she was very excited, but it seemed somewhat terrifying. That wrinkled cheeks were almost contorted. She laughed with a quack and said, "This is seriously such a wondrous news. This might be our only way to defeat him. We only knew the mixture of 9 dragon kings' blood can lift our curse, but we never thought it can be used to restrain the evil spirit too, Kakaka. since the Dragon Island had been sealed, no ancestral dragon and Dragon King had ever appeared. The legend finally began once more after countless years. The people who came to the Dragon Island this time was not to explore the island, their goal was the ancestral dragon and Dragon King. Granny, we don't need to fear him anymore, at least we have the ability to defend ourselves this time. I will go find Blackie. The little fatty said without thinking, then he rushed into the village as quick as lightning. A dragon roar transmitted from the jungle behind the village. Not long later the little fatty led a 1-meter-long young black dragon over. The scales all over the little dragon's body were flickering with black radiance. Its entire body was shiny black, its head looked like the ancestral dragon, yet its body looked like a leopard or a tiger. Of course, it was impossible for it to possess any fur, it was completely covered in dragon scales. It was a Dragon King without a doubt. It was pointless to guess what kind of dragon it was, because there was a huge difference between the Dragon King and the previous generation. The people in this village had actually found a Dragon King already, one could tell they were preparing for this a long time ago. The Black Dragon King was only a little smaller than the Amethyst Dragon King. It was very possible this might be the second Dragon King that was born on the Dragon Island. It possessed a clear advantage to compete for the position of the Dragon Emperor. When the Amethyst Dragon King and Black Dragon King met each other in the eyes, they immediately let out a growl. The enmity between them was very deep. This was something unavoidable. The battle between the kings of dragons was the cruelest. The Syndicate Dragon King will inevitably fight to the death upon reaching a certain stage in growth. The woman shrouded in colorful mist and little fatty hastily appeased the young Dragon Kings, preventing them from breaking out into a fight. And just at this time, Keek's glittering big eyes suddenly widened. The two Dragon Kings also seemed to be on guard as they looked towards the same direction as Keek, the jungle outside of the village. Keek scuttled onto the Amethyst Dragon King's back with a swish. It used its 2 paws to rub the wound to smear its paws with a bit of the Dragon King's blood. Then it transformed into a streak of white light, and dashed towards the jungle outside of the village while the Amethyst Dragon King let out a roar in frustration. The black fog fluctuated in the jungle violently, many forest trees were destroyed in but a moment. Keek transformed into a streak of white light, and ran back to the village. And then a youth with pale complexion appeared from the jungle, his chest had a few bloody hole, that was caused by the Amethyst Dragon King's blood. And his left arm had a tiny paw print, that was clearly Keek's masterpiece. His pair of eyes emitted 2 soul-wrenching rays of light. He gazed at Keek and the 2 Syndicate Dragon King, then he faded away in his original position without making any sound. It is him. Xiao Chen and the woman shrouded in colorful mist opened their mouth simultaneously. It's him, it's that evil spirit. The old woman was emotional as she said, I saw the written records regarding the evil spirit left by our ancestors. It included a simple drawing about him. It is precisely because of him that many of our ancestors were dead. The constant arrival and retreat of the evil spirit made everyone felt very uneasy. Although it had backed off for now, it was hard to say whether it will show up again or not. The potency of the Dragon King's blood made Xiao Chen and the others utterly astonished. It was really capable of restraining this kind of terrifying demon. One could imagine just how powerful the Dragon Kings would become once they reached maturity. And Keek's performance made everyone flabbergasted. It was actually able to discover the evil spirit before everyone and the Dragon King. Keek was currently rubbing its little paws desperately, trying to rid the bloodstain from its snow-white fur. After that, it beautifully ignored the Amethyst Dragon King's growl, and mischievously jumped onto the Black Dragon King's back. Then it waved its little paw at the Amethyst Dragon King. Before the 2 Dragon Kings got furious, Xiao Chen hastily grabbed it. This little guy was seriously too unruly. The few of them returned to the village. They went to a different courtyard this time. There was a field of grapevines in the courtyard, the leaves were emerald green, and many crystal-clear purple grapes were hanging on the vines. They were as shiny as the agate crystals. The few of them sat around a stone table below the grapevines. They began to go over the plan in details. They must eliminate the demon, or else everyone will be in danger. Xiao Chen said, the demon suffered a heavy damage from the Dragon King's blood. This is our chance. We must gather everyone on the Dragon Island to deal with him. After the calamity in the ghost town, there were still 100+ practitioners on the Dragon Island. That was because they didn't get close to the Sea of Bones. If all of them unite as one, that will definitely be a powerful force. It was rare for the solitary sword demon to lay down his pride. He also felt the threat of death. He completely agreed with Xiao Chen's proposal. The mysterious woman whose entire body was shrouded by the colorful mist nodded and said, "We can also form a truce with another group of experts." Xiao Chen and the solitary sword demon did not understand, they looked at her doubtfully. The old woman at the side smiled and said, "The young lady is a true expert, but your ability seemed to fluctuate sharply. It made people unable to ascertain your true power." Too, she squinted her eyes and said, "Other than the group of young experts that entered the Dragon Island, there are still 30+ Zephyrus-level old masters here." The solitary sword demon nodded, he understood in a flash. According to the agreement between all parties, the old masters cannot get involved in anything that happened on the island. Only the youth generation will fight over the Dragon Kings. The older generation could only provide support at the boundless ocean. These people clearly infiltrated the island secretly and didn't follow the rules. "I will get in touch with them, I know those people's movement." The old man at the side started to talk. The old woman said, "Our most important goal now is to search for 9 Dragon Kings. With 9 kings together, we will be able to summon the legendary divine ship and leave this mysterious yet terrifying island for good." According to legend, the divine ship made from the ancestral dragon's bones and heavenly tree had been drifting in the taboo ocean all along. It had withstood the vicissitudes of time. Only this kind of boat could bring everyone on the island away from the taboo ocean. This was what the old woman's ancestors found in the written records of a ruined ancient village. The ancestral dragon's bone was without a doubt the dragon's sacred bone. As for the heavenly tree, it was as Xiao Chen had thought, it was indeed referring to that divine tree at Keek's old home, that tree trunk that was as wide as a lofty mountain. The few of them discussed for a long time, but the most pressing matter was that, would they be able to leave this village safely? The evil ghost might be lingering in the vicinity of the village. "Don't tell me we have to bring the Dragon Kings along to go and gather everyone." The solitary sword demon exerted his strength to grab his metal sword, his fingers got a little pale. Everyone turned silent, as a matter of fact, they were already facing a death threat. The evil spirit will definitely not let them off, he suffered a heavy injury because of them. It was a great shame and humiliation for a demon who had survived for countless years. Just at this time, Keek widened its glittering big eyes again. At the same time, the Amethyst Dragon King and Black Dragon King also let out a growl. A burst of chilly wind blew into the courtyard, the negative aura pervaded in the vicinity of the grapevines. The Amethyst Dragon King was ready to go this time. It didn't wait for Keek to scuttle across its body, it was the first to dash out. The Black Dragon King let out a growl and followed closely behind. Keek did not feel pressing at all. It jumped onto the grapevine and looked at the 2 Dragon Kings yelling on the street. The negative aura already scattered away, the evil spirit retreated again. However, the few people in the courtyard still felt a nip in the air, they felt the entire village was already filled with the breath of death. "This will not work, we will eventually make a careless mistake if this keeps up. Without the 2 Dragon Kings with us, we won't be able to deal with that demon." The silly little fatty expressed his opinion, he was clearly not as foolish as his outer appearance dictated. "Not good, this is really bad." The old man furrowed his brows and said, "Our clansmen outside will be returning soon. If they encounter the evil spirit, they will certainly not be able to escape its evil clutches." Soon after, they got up and rushed towards the village entrance. They prepared to provide support to the people returning to the village. The chicken cries and dog barks already couldn't be heard in spacious and empty village, it was deathly silent. It was just like an abandoned land left to return to unchecked growth. "His coming!" Xiao Chen shouted. It was because Keek jumped onto his shoulder and used its little paw to pull his long hair. Its glittering big eyes were gazing at the street ahead. The evil spirit stopped hiding after it has been found, the black fog rolled over and over, waves of bone-chilling negative aura surged up violently. Everyone could feel the nip in the air, the 2 Dragon Kings let out a roar constantly, they were not afraid of the fiendish aura. If nobody stopped them, they would have dashed over there a long time ago. The evil spirit was already within 100-meter range. Although the underworld fog was raging and blocked the scorching sunlight from spilling down, Xiao Chen could still see him clearly. That was due of his spiritual sense that didn't require sight and sound. The one in the cloudy fog was indeed that youth he saw at the Sea of Bones. His left wrist had an eye-catching birthmark. His pair of eyes were somewhat empty. He seemed to have experienced the changes of time, without examining carefully. It was hard to imagine he was a demon that had lived for countless years. The more one looked at him, the more frightening they felt. "Give him to me. And I'll let everyone off." A faint ghost whistle transmitted from the black fog. Although it was the voice of a young man, it was lacking of vitality. It sounded like the echo of the chilly wind that blew into the ancient residence from a broken window. As the words reached everyone, it was as if a cold air had entered their body. It made them felt a chill down their spine. The chilly wind bubbled up, the black fog in front of the demon dispersed a little, they could clearly see the arms he stretched out, it was pointing at Xiao Chen. You mean me? Xiao Chen felt something was not good. For what reason did the evil spirit want him for? The chilly wind swept past again, the pale face within the underworld fog revealed itself before everyone's eyes. He slowly shook his head, his right arm moved slightly. Keek jumped down from Xiao Chen's shoulder while panting with rage. It actually dashed forward without any hint of fear, it was squeaking non-stop, as if asking the evil spirit something. At the same time, it waved its little paw, and a dazzling radiance enveloped the evil spirit. The fog rolled over and over, the evil spirit faded away without making any sound. The strength displayed by a combat-ready evil spirit was unfathomably deep. Keek waved its little paw on the street fiercely, it was very angry, and yet it seemed somewhat adorable. Xiao Chen hastily carried Keek back in his arms. The mysteries surrounding Keek were continuously increasing, he didn't want anything to happen to this little critter. The few people besides Xiao Chen were endlessly shocked, the demon seemed to be a little afraid of Keek. But Keek was not a dragon king. Could it be that its blood or body could restrain the demonic fiend? I cannot comply to your request, nobody shall harm Keek. Xiao Chen faced the spacious and empty street ahead as he shouted. It was not only for the evil spirit, it was also to make himself clear to the few people around him. A conspicuous figure of the evil spirit appeared at the street far away. The ghost whistles transmitted from the cloudy fog. I want that sacred tree on top of its head, give that sproutling to me, and I promise not to harm a single soul hereafter. Everyone's gaze focused on Keek. The treasured tree on its head did not emit any radiance at the moment, it was just like an ordinary plant, it was nothing out of the ordinary. Everyone originally thought it was because this naughty little critter was running everywhere, and the sproutling was stuck on its head by accident. Only now did they knew there was much more to it, even the demon was tempted by it. At the same time Xiao Chen was feeling surprised, his heart was brimming with doubts, but he didn't even think twice about it. It was impossible for him to comply. He asked, why should we give it to you? How are we supposed to believe anything you said? I pledge I will not harm anyone on the Dragon Island after I get the sacred tree, otherwise my body and soul will extinguish. The evil spirit's voice transmitted from the black fog. The old man said in a low voice, according to the written records, the evil spirit cannot break their oath, he made a pledge before and never go back on his words. It was very obvious that the old man was afraid of the evil spirit, he wanted to reach a compromise. Can you even believe in a demon's pledge? Xiao Chen turned his head around and asked coldly. This made the old man and old woman's aged face turn as red as apple. They were indeed very scared of the evil spirit, whether the evil spirit would violate his pledge, or not was not something they could be really certain of. However, their clansmen shall come back any time soon, and the evil spirit is in the vicinity, this is definitely a life-threatening danger for those people. The underworld fog dispersed, the demon turned his head around to look at the direction of the divine monolith that was located at the heart of the island, then he said, I will not go back on my pledge, otherwise I will be punished. You are a demon, how can I believe you? People often said not to make a deal with demon. Xiao Chen was carrying Keek in his arms, he wanted to draw back, but Keek on the other hand was restless, it was struggling to get free and wanted to dash over there. It didn't seem to be afraid of the evil spirit in the underworld fog. Alas, I'm not a demon, I'm a human. The indistinct ghost whistle heaved a sigh. Xiao Chen gave a cold snort in return, that is not a funny joke. I had transformed continuously over the countless years, what I am looking forward to the most is to reborn under the sun. I am no longer a corpse now. I have blood and flesh, I really don't want to go on killing anymore. Xiao Chen gave a cold snort in return, that is not a funny joke. I had transformed continuously over the countless years, what I am looking forward to the most was to be reborn under the sun. I am no longer a corpse now. I have blood and flesh, I really don't want to go on killing anymore. How do you explain about the few people you killed at the village entrance? They attack me first, that woman shrouded in colorful mist can be my witness. The demon heaved a sigh. Xiao Chen remains unmoved and said, stop acting as if you had no other choice. You once murdered so many people, how could a demon's nature be changed so easily? Besides, If you really restrained your ominous nature, why would you force me to hand over the sapling? The underworld fog around the demon became denser, the dense negative aura pervaded the surrounding once more. He then said with an indistinct voice, "The seal on the Dragon Island suppressed my power. It made me unable to break through the shackles smoothly. That's why at the intervals of every 100 years, I need to absorb the yang energy. Although I already have a living body with flesh and blood, I still don't have the vitality. If I cannot get the nourishment from the sacred tree, I have no choice but to absorb extensive amount of yang energy again. But I really don't want to continue this massacre." You are telling one lie after another. Xiao Chen was not very convinced by his words. Why should I lie to you? The demon's pale face that was exposed from the black fog seemed very sincere. He sighed and said, "So what if you have Syndicate Dragon King to protect you? Their blood can indeed harm me, but will they be able to protect you forever? You guys should know if I really wanted to kill you, there were plenty of opportunities. Besides, what about the other people on the island, who will protect them, if I really wanted to kill, who can obstruct me? Are you threatening us? If that's what you want to think, then so be it." The demon sighed unceasingly. It sent a chill that made people's blood run cold. He was a genuine demon, every words couldn't be taken lightly, reaping life was a commonplace for him. "Someone is coming." After saying this, the demon faded away without a sound. After that, a scream resounded from the jungle in front of the village. The old woman and old man's face turned pale on the spot. It was obviously the people from their village. "Stop it, you demon!" The little fatty shouted loudly. He led the Black Dragon King into the forest. Xiao Chen and the others also followed closely. The gloomy black fog rushed forth from the forest. The demon appeared again, 10 meters in front of everyone. His pale face was very undisturbed, like nothing had happened at all. It made people felt a chill in their heart. "Why don't you give the sacred tree to me now? I will give it back after I have no more use for it. I guarantee I will not harm any more living person from now on. I will try my best to be a good person." A sincere expression emerged on the cheeks that didn't have any hint of blood. The demon was very serious and sincere. One was unable to tell if he was acting. The old woman and old man were very furious. The clansman who shouted just now was clearly dead. Their body shuddered slightly. Xiao Chen and the solitary sword demon found this to be really ridiculous. A demon that once killed people like scything flax actually wanted to reform and start afresh. "What is this sacred tree that you are talking about? Do you really need it that badly?" The little fatty questioned. "Alas, that is the dragon's sacred tree. I really need it badly. That is the only thing on this dragon island that can turn me into a living person." The demon was always sighing as he spoke. It seemed like he was very anxious. It didn't have any resemblance to the heartless him when he was making his move. It gave people a misconception that he was just a lonesome man. The dragon's sacred tree. Once these few words came out from his mouth, a huge wave immediately surged up in everyone's heart. Naturally, the most excited ones were the two young dragon kings. Their pair of eyes were emitting substantive divine radiance as they slowly pressed on towards Xiao Chen and Keek. Keek broke free from Xiao Chen's embrace and jumped onto the ground while panting with rage. The little critter was not scared of the two dragon kings, as it stared at them with the treasured tree on its head. Although Keek was usually lively and cute, it emitted an invisible pressure at the moment. The little critter actually wanted to carry out a battle to defend its honor. It wanted to confront two dragons at the same time. Xiao Chen knew Keek had a powerful defensive power. He would also have a hard time breaking free if he was trapped. But he never saw Keek using any kind of offensive power before. He didn't want it to fight with the two dragon kings. After all, it was still too young. But when Xiao Chen reached out his hand to pull Keek, he was repelled by a light screen. Keek's spotlessly white jade-like body was flickering with seven-colored radiance. It was as if a seven-colored sacred fire was throbbing outside of the little guy's body. It actually emitted an astonishing battle intent. This had never happened before. Keek was always lively and mischievous. Competitive does not sit well with it, but Keek's current behavior had overturned its former conduct. The amethyst dragon was flickering with purple radiance. The black dragon king flickered with black radiance. They were still closing in. The dragon's sacred tree was really too enticing. Everyone on the spot was unable to calm down, but they knew they couldn't let the dragon kings fight each other. The woman shrouded in colorful mist, and that little fatty tried to dissuade the two dragon kings unceasingly. However, the two dragon kings remained unmoved. That was the dragon's sacred tree, and now it was under the control of an unknown little critter like this. They felt that it was a great humiliation for the dragons. Just at this time, Keek let out a young and tender cry. It extended one little paw to point at the treasure tree on its head, and then pointed in front, at the forest that was pervaded by negative aura. After that, it dashed over there first. The two dragon kings gathered their thoughts before they let out a roar, and rushed towards the evil spirit. Keek waved its little paws to draw two seven-colored light screen that enveloped the evil spirit in the underworld fog. And the young dragon king's horns also burst out with glaring rays of light. The rays of light transformed into perfectly straight light beams, and shot towards the evil spirit. It seemed like they wanted to decide the outcome with this method. They wanted to find out who was the true king by defeating the evil spirit. The black fog rolled over and over violently. The demon faded away from his original place. But the three divine beasts seemed to be able to lock onto his aura. They followed after him into the forest, under the roar of the dragon kings, under the sound of falling ancient trees. That place was dazzled by rays of light, and leaves were swirling in the air. Suddenly, like the wind rolled up the clouds, the underworld fog floated over at high speed. The demon appeared in front of Xiao Chen, and the others without making any sound. The cold aura locked onto the few of them. They felt as if an avalanche had weighed down on their body. Keek transformed into a streak of light, and appeared on Xiao Chen's shoulder. The two dragon king also came back respectively. The demon then faded away without a sound. All of this happened in an instant. You guys saw it already. If I wanted to kill you just now, I had plenty of opportunity, but I didn't do it. The demon heaved a sigh at a distant place and said, "The dragon kings are too young. Although their blood can restrain me, they cannot do anything to me as long as I am fully prepared. On the contrary, if I wanted to kill them, they will certainly be in danger. However, I do not want to offend the dragons." That was indeed the case. The demon had immeasurable strength. At this time, everyone started to hesitate. In the end, all of them looked at Xiao Chen and Keek. They are the most crucial point of this event. Everything will be decided by them. Keek was panting with rage on Xiao Chen's shoulder as it widened its glittering big eyes. It casted an angry look at the demon in the cloudy fog. The sapling was a sacred tree that had accompanied it since birth. It was also its ration, and the only thing that's been accompanying it all along since it was abandoned by its parent. Don't look at how it was uncaring of the sapling most of the time. When someone really wanted to fight over it, Keek will not comply no matter what. Little guy, I only wanted to borrow it. I will definitely return it to you. And I will certainly repay you severalfold. The demon revealed a gentle expression. He revealed a slight smile to Keek. This made the few people on the spot a little astonished. The demon seemed to attach more importance to Keek than the two dragon kings. Xiao Chen looked at the few people beside him. He quickly understood everyone's intention after taking a quick glance. Even the most stubborn solitary sword demon wanted to reach a compromise. The demon was really deep and immeasurable. They didn't stand a chance against him. Although they didn't know if what he said was true or false, it was still a hope anyhow. After everyone's opinion was made clear to him, Xiao Chen became silent. After that, he embraced Keek, who was panting with rage tightly to prevent it from rushing over there. He said to the demon, "If your target is the sacred tree, then just come at me. This has nothing to do with the others. We will discuss this further after changing location. No matter what happens, I ask of you not to harm the others. This is the very least you can do to show your sincerity." The demon's pale face turned slightly red. He nodded slightly and said, "My only target is the sacred tree. If other people don't hinder me, or attack me, I will absolutely not harm them." An impending storm was actually eased up like this. Xiao Chen didn't turn around and took large strides out of the village. The two dragon kings roared as they chased after Xiao Chen. They didn't want to let the sacred tree fall onto other people's hand. The little fatty hastily chased after the black dragon king to appease it. He spent a great deal of effort to convince it to fall back. As a matter of fact, even though the dragon kings are young, they already have intelligence. It knew deep down that it didn't have enough power to retrieve the sacred dragon tree. "I wish you can come back safe and sound. I really wanted to make friend with you. I am called Oxman," the silly little fatty said to Xiao Chen in a low voice as he fell back. Oxman was a rather funny name, but Xiao Chen didn't have the mood to laugh. He nodded lightly and said, "The next time we meet, we will be friend. My name is Xiao Chen." The woman shrouded in colorful mist also walked over, but it was not to take the amethyst dragon king away. On the contrary, She wanted it to accompany Xiao Chen and protect him if necessary. I appreciate your kindness, but Keek is as powerful as a Dragon King. If Keek cannot restrain the evil spirit, even an additional Dragon King will not help in the least. Xiao Chen felt the mysterious woman was indeed good-natured. He told her about the other 2 Dragon Kings, with a voice only the 2 could hear. Soon after, he walked over to the mountain woods alone. That demon had already went ahead of them. Keek, the snow-white little critter, was extremely intelligent. It clearly knew what happened just now. It unwillingly took off the treasured tree from its head. Then it hugged it tightly for a really long time. After that, it reluctantly handed it over to Xiao Chen. It had a really dejected expression. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "You little monster, this is the sacred tree that had accompanied you since birth. How can we give it to others so easily? Besides, that guy is a demon, we cannot believe anything he said, we cannot make a deal with him." Keek was unhappy to be called a little monster. It angrily grabbed his long hair and pulled it lightly. Soon after, it still handed over the treasured tree to Xiao Chen. "Don't worry, you little monster. We don't need to hand over the sacred tree yet." He was definitely concerned about something, otherwise on what basis would a demon use kind words to talk with us, and not seize it by force? Keek's big eyes suddenly lightened up, its long eyelashes flickered unceasingly. But in the end, it became dispirited again as it lowered its head. It funnily compared its height to the evil spirit's height. It seemed to be saying it really was too young at the moment, and that it wouldn't be able to defeat the demon. Xiao Chen found its action to be very amusing. He laughed and said, "You were always sleeping all day long, and those Dragon Kings were fighting almost every day. They thought of every possible methods to make themselves stronger. You are not inferior to them, you just need to work hard. If you want to have enough strength to fight off the demon, you cannot be lazy from now on." The snow-white little critter angrily grabbed Xiao Chen's long hair and pulled it lightly. Then out of his expectation, the little critter actually nodded its head seriously. It put on the treasured tree hat and jumped from Xiao Chen's arm to his shoulder. It earnestly sat in meditation and began to harmonize its breathing. That's right, it was sitting in meditation and harmonizing its breathing. This made Xiao Chen so shocked that his jaw literally dropped. Keek was actually sitting like the practitioners. Its pair of glittering big eyes were shut, the long eyelashes were no longer flickering. Moreover, its entire body burst out with faint multicolored radiance, as if it had already submerged in an ethereal boundary. Xiao Chen's current state of mind already couldn't be described with mere words. The shock Keek gave to him was really too much. How could this little critter manifest something like this? However, after walking for a few miles in the jungle, Xiao Chen became completely speechless again. That was because he heard a slight snoring sound. The little critter actually fell asleep on his shoulder. 3. Speechless. Totally speechless. Habit was not easy to change. Xiao Chen really didn't know what to say to this little critter anymore. This video will end here.